Cheating stories. Her secret apartment hid a dark truth. If this story moved, you don't forget to drop a comment and subscribe to Viora for more unforgettable stories that speak to the heart. I found her wedding ring on the bathroom sink sparkling under the dim light like it was mocking me. She wasn't home. She hadn't been for hours. And the text she sent at 1 a.m. Working late, don't wait up. I believed her until I saw the receipt from a bar across town tucked in her purse. My name's Ethan Caldwell, and I'm not the kind of guy who jumps to conclusions. I'm 36, a small business owner running a craft brewery in Asheville, North Carolina. My life was good. Great. Even I had a cozy house with a wraparound porch, a business that kept me busy but paid well, and my wife Lauren, who I thought was my forever. We weren't millionaires, but we were comfortable, the kind of middle-class dream where you can afford a nice vacation once a year and still save for a rainy day. Lauren was my high school sweetheart, the girl who laughed at my bad jokes and held my hand through every rough patch. We'd been married for 8 years, and our 5-year-old daughter Harper was the center of my universe. I'd wake up every morning, kiss Harper's forehead as she slept, and think, this is it. This is what life's about. Lauren was a graphic designer freelancing for big clients, always glued to her laptop. She was ambitious, creative, the kind of woman who could light up a room with her smile. I loved that about her. Even when work got hectic, we'd steal moments, late-night talks over wine, weekend hikes in the Blue Ridge Mountains, or just binge-watching true crime shows while Harper napped. I thought we were solid. I thought we were happy. But looking back, I missed the signs. The late nights at client meetings. The way her phone was always face down. The way she'd flinch when I touched her unexpectedly. I chalked it up to stress. I was wrong. It started 3 months ago on a rainy Tuesday. I was closing up the brewery when my phone buzzed. A text from Lauren staying late at the studio, big deadline. Love you. I didn't think twice. I went home, tucked Harper into bed, and read her a story about a brave little fox. But when I checked my phone later, I saw Lauren's location on our shared app. She wasn't at her studio downtown. She was at a bar in West Asheville, a place we'd never been to together. My stomach twisted, but I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a client meeting ran long and they grabbed drinks. I wasn't the jealous type. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. The next morning, Lauren was back to her usual self, making pancakes for Harper and teasing me about my awful singing. But something felt off. Her laugh was too loud, her eyes too quick to dart away. I didn't push it. Instead, I went to work. Poured beers and smiled for customers while my mind churned. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I checked her purse while she was in the shower. My hands shook as I found the receipt dated last night, 11:47 p.m. 2 cocktails and a whiskey. Neat. Lauren didn't drink whiskey, but I knew someone who did. This isn't just another cheating wife story, though. It's starting to sound like one, isn't it? I wish it stopped there. A few days later, I was helping Harper with her homework when Lauren's phone lit up on the counter. A notification from someone named Jay. Just a single letter. The message preview said, "Can't stop thinking about last night." My heart stopped. I didn't unlock her phone. I couldn't bring myself to cross that line. But that message burned into my brain. I confronted her that night, keeping my voice low so Harper wouldn't hear. "Lauren, who's Jay?" I asked, casual, like it was no big deal. She froze her wine glass halfway to her lips. "Jay? Oh, probably just Jenna, my coworker. Why?" "Jenna doesn't text you about last night at 8 p.m. I said, my voice tighter than I meant. She laughed, but it was sharp like broken glass. "Ethan, you're being paranoid. It's nothing. Work stuff." She kissed my cheek and changed the subject, but her hands were trembling. I wanted to believe her. I tried to. But doubt is a seed, and once it's planted, it grows. The next twist came a week later. I was at the brewery prepping for a tasting event when my buddy Nate, who runs the bar next door, pulled me aside. "Man, I don't know how to say this." He started, his face grim. "I saw Lauren last night. At the Rusty Nail." She wasn't alone. My chest tightened. Nate wasn't a gossip. He was solid. The kind of guy who'd never stir drama unless he was sure. "She was with some guy," he continued. "Tall, dark hair, fancy watch. They looked close." I felt the floor tilt close. How I managed. Nate hesitated, like laughing, touching his arm. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it didn't look like a work thing. I thanked Nate and went back to work, pouring beers like a robot while my mind screamed. That night, I didn't confront Lauren. I couldn't. Instead, I started paying attention. Her late nights were more frequent. Her phone was password protected now when it never had been before. And then there was the perfume, new musky, not the floral scent she'd worn for years. It was like she was becoming someone else, someone who didn't belong to me. The real gut punch came at Harper's kindergarten play. Lauren was supposed to meet me there, but she texted last minute. Stuck at work. I'm so sorry. I sat in the auditorium clapping for Harper as she twirled on stage in her bumblebee costume. But my eyes kept scanning the crowd. She wasn't there. After the play, I took Harper for ice cream, trying to keep her spirits up. That's when I saw it. A photo on Instagram posted by one of Lauren's co-workers. It was a group shot at a rooftop bar, time-stamped an hour ago. Lauren was in the center, radiant, her arm around a man I didn't recognize. The caption read, "Team Bonding Night." But the way he was looking at her, the way her hand rested on his chest, it wasn't bonding. It was something else. I've read enough cheating stories to know what comes next. The confrontation, the tears, the lies. But I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Instead, I started digging. I checked her laptop one night while she was asleep using the password she'd used for years. Her email was clean, but her browser history wasn't searches for hotels in Charlotte weekend getaways. And worst of all, how to keep a secret from your spouse. My hands went cold. This wasn't a fling. This was planned. The next morning I played it cool, but inside I was breaking. I dropped Harper off at school and drove to the brewery, but I couldn't focus. My head was a storm of questions. Who was he? How long had this been going on? Did she love him? Did she ever love me? That's when I got a call from Lauren's sister Claire. She was always the blunt one, never sugarcoating anything. "Ethan," she said, her voice low. "You need to know something. Lauren's been talking to Mom about some guy named James. I didn't want to get involved, but I think it's serious. James J." It clicked. I thanked Claire and hung up, my vision blurring. James was Lauren's old college friend, the one who'd moved to Charlotte a year ago. He was a lawyer, charming, the kind of guy who always had a quick comeback and a flashy car. I'd met him once at a party, and he'd called me the beer guy, with a smirk. I hadn't thought much of it then. Now it felt like a knife. That night, I waited for Lauren to come home. She walked in at 11 p.m., her hair slightly messy, her lipstick gone. "Hey, babe," she said, kissing my forehead like nothing was wrong. Long day. I didn't respond. I just watched her move through the kitchen, pouring a glass of water, humming to herself. It was like watching a stranger. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but something stopped me. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was Harper asleep upstairs. Or maybe it was the part of me that still loved her even after everything. Instead, I started planning. I wasn't going to be the guy who begged for scraps of her affection. I wasn't going to let this cheating wife story define me. The next day, I called my lawyer, a guy named Tom, who'd helped me with the brewery's contracts. "I need to know my options," I told him, just in case he was calm. Professional, laying out steps for protecting my assets, my rights as a father. It felt surreal, like I was preparing for a war. I didn't want to fight. Then came the twist. I didn't see coming. I was at the brewery checking inventory when my phone buzzed with an email from an anonymous sender. The subject line, "You deserve to know." My heart pounded as I opened it. There were screenshots, texts between Lauren and James going back months, flirty at first, then explicit plans to meet in Charlotte to get away for a weekend. And then the worst one, Lauren's message from 2 weeks ago. "I'm done pretending with Ethan. I want us to be real." I felt like I'd been punched. My knees buckled, and I sat on a crate staring at the screen until it blurred. Who sent it? I had no idea. A friend, a co-worker, James's ex. It didn't matter. The truth was out, and it was uglier than I'd imagined. I didn't confront Lauren that night. I couldn't. Instead, I went to Harper's room, watched her sleep, and promised myself I'd protect her from this mess. But the anger was building, a slow burn that threatened to consume me. The next day, I did something reckless. I drove to Charlotte to James's law firm. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I wanted to see him, to size him up, to understand why he was worth throwing away our life. I sat in my truck across the street watching the glass doors of the building, and then I saw them, Lauren and James, walking out together, her hand in his. She was laughing, her face brighter than I'd seen in months. They got into his car, a sleek black Audi, and drove off. I didn't follow. I just sat there gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. This wasn't just a cheating story. It was my life unraveling in real time. I drove back to Asheville, my mind racing. I thought about the brewery, the house Harper's future. I thought about the man I used to be, the one who believed in love and loyalty. I wasn't that man anymore, but I wasn't ready to give up either. I started making a plan, not for revenge, not yet, but for survival. I'd get proof, solid evidence, something undeniable. I'd protect Harper, protect myself, and then I didn't know. Maybe I'd confront her, maybe I'd walk away, or maybe I'd find a way to make her feel the weight of what she'd done. As I pulled into my driveway, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Lauren home, late again. Love you? I stared at it, the words hollow, meaningless. I didn't reply. Instead, I poured a beer from my own brewery, sat on the porch, and looked at the stars. The air was cool, the night quiet, except for the crickets. I thought about all the cheating stories I'd heard, all the ways people broke each other. I wondered if I'd ever trust again. I wondered if I'd ever feel whole. The stars above my Asheville porch were sharp that night, like pinpricks in a black curtain, but they offered no answers. I sipped my beer, the bitterness mirroring the ache in my chest. Lauren's text, home late. Again. Love you sat unanswered on my phone. Love you. Those words used to mean everything. Now they were a lie, part of a cheating wife story. I never thought I'd live. I wasn't just Ethan Caldwell, brewery owner, father to Harper, husband to Lauren. I was a man on the edge, staring down a truth that could unravel everything I'd built. The next morning, I woke up with a plan. No more sitting in the dark, letting doubt eat me alive. I needed proof, something solid, something Lauren couldn't twist or deny. But more than that, I needed to protect Harper. She was 5, too young to understand the storm brewing, but old enough to feel it. I dropped her off at school, her tiny hand squeezing mine as she ran to join her friends. Love you, Daddy, she said, her bumblebee backpack bouncing. I smiled, but it felt like a mask. How do you explain to a kid that the family she knows might be a lie? Back home, I started small. I checked Lauren's car while it sat in the driveway. She'd taken an Uber to work again. In the glove compartment, I found a parking stub from a hotel in Charlotte dated last weekend. My pulse raced. She'd told me she was visiting her mom that day, a girls' trip with Claire. I tucked the stub in my pocket, my hands shaking. It wasn't enough, not yet, but it was another crack in the facade. That afternoon, I called Claire. She picked up on the second ring, her voice tense. Ethan. You okay? She asked. I didn't waste time, Claire. You said Lauren's been talking about James. What else do you know? There was a long pause, the kind that carries weight. I didn't want to get in the middle, she said finally. But Mom overheard Lauren on the phone last month telling someone she's never felt this alive. It was him, Ethan James. She's been sneaking off to Charlotte every chance she gets. I gripped the phone, my knuckles white. Why didn't you tell me sooner? My voice was low, but the anger seeped through. Claire sighed. I thought she'd stop. I thought it was a phase. Lauren's always been restless. But this, it's different. She's checked out Ethan. From you, from Harper, from everything. I thanked her. Hung up and sat in my truck staring at the brewery across the street. Restless. That word cut deeper than I expected. Had Lauren been unhappy all along? Was I blind, or was she just that good at hiding it? The next twist came that evening. I was at the brewery tweaking a new IPA recipe when my phone buzzed with another anonymous email. Same sender as before. No name, just a string of numbers. This time it was a video clip, grainy but clear enough. Lauren and James in a hotel lobby, her arms around his neck, his lips on hers. The timestamp, last Saturday, the same day as the parking stub. My stomach churned. I watched it again, then a third time, each frame burning into my memory. Her smile, the one I thought was mine, belonged to him now. I didn't know who was sending these. Maybe a scorned ex of James, maybe a co-worker with a grudge. But their timing was surgical. They wanted me to know, to act. I saved the video, my mind racing. Confronting Lauren now would be easy, but it wouldn't be smart. She'd lie, cry, turn it back on me. I'd seen enough Reddit cheating stories to know how this played out. I needed more something undeniable, and I needed to be ready for what came after. The following day, I took a risk. I hired a private investigator, a guy named Marcus recommended by my lawyer. Tom Marcus was ex-military, all business with a handshake like a vice. "Give me a week," he said. "I'll get you what you need." I gave him Lauren's schedule, James's name, and the hotel stub. It felt like betrayal paying someone to spy on my wife. But what choice did I have? She'd already betrayed me. While Marcus worked, I kept up appearances. I cooked dinner, played with. Harper laughed at Lauren's stories about her crazy clients, but every touch, every word from her felt like a performance. One night, she came home late, her eyes bright, her cheeks flushed. "Good day?" I asked, stirring pasta. She nodded too quick. "Yeah, landed a big contract, we celebrated." I didn't push, but I noticed the new necklace, a delicate silver chain with a small diamond pendant. I hadn't bought it. Harper hadn't noticed it, but I did. 2 days later, Marcus called. "Got something," he said. "Meet me at the coffee shop on Patton Avenue. 10 a.m. I arrived early, my nerves on edge. Marcus slid a folder across the table, his face unreadable. Inside were photos. Lauren and James at a Charlotte restaurant, their hands intertwined. Lauren checking into a hotel, James a step behind. And then the kicker, a lease agreement for an apartment in Charlotte, signed by Lauren under her maiden name, dated 3 months ago. "She's been paying for it in cash," Marcus said. "No trace on your joint accounts." I stared at the lease, my vision blurring. An apartment, a secret life. This wasn't just an affair. Lauren was building a future without me, without Harper. "There's more," Marcus said. "She's been meeting with a divorce lawyer. Not local, someone in Charlotte. My contact says she's asking about splitting assets, keeping it quiet." I nodded, numb. "Keep digging," I told him. "I need everything." That night I couldn't sleep. I lay next to Lauren, her breathing soft, and wondered how she could live this double life. I thought about Harper, about the brewery, about the life we'd built. I thought about the man I'd been trusting, hopeful, maybe naive. The anger was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Resolve I wasn't going to let her destroy me. The next morning I got a call from Nate, my buddy from the bar next door. "Ethan, you need to see this," he said, his voice urgent. I met him at his bar where he showed me a security clip from last night. Lauren at the Rusty Nail again. But this time she wasn't with James. She was with a woman I didn't recognize. Tall, blonde, sharp cheekbones. They were arguing, Lauren's face red. The woman gesturing wildly. "I don't know what it was about," Nate said, "but it looked heated. Thought you should know." I thanked him, my mind spinning. Who was she? A friend? A coworker? Someone else in Lauren's secret world? I sent the clip to Marcus asking him to ID the woman. That afternoon he texted back, "Her name's Vanessa, James's sister. She's been in Charlotte, works at the same law firm." "Want me to dig deeper?" I replied. "Yes." The pieces were coming together, but the picture was uglier than I'd imagined. The next twist hit like a freight train. I was at Harper's school picking her up early for a dentist appointment when I saw Lauren's car in the parking lot. She wasn't supposed to be there. She told me she had a client meeting downtown. I parked, told Harper to wait in the truck, and went inside. Lauren was in the hallway talking to Harper's teacher, Ms. Ellis. But it wasn't a parent-teacher chat. Lauren was handing her an envelope, her expression serious. Miss Ellis looked uncomfortable, tucking the envelope into her bag. I didn't approach. I watched from a distance, my gut screaming. Back in the truck, I called Marcus. "Check into Harper's teacher, Sarah Ellis. Something's off." That night, Marcus sent me a report. Sarah Ellis had a brother in Charlotte, James. Lauren wasn't just cheating with James. She was paying off his sister Harper's teacher for something. What I didn't know yet, but the thought made my skin crawl. The betrayal was deeper than I'd imagined. This wasn't just a cheating wife story. It was a web of lies pulling in people. I trusted people. Harper trusted. I started keeping a journal, documenting everything. The emails, the video, the lease, the necklace, the school encounter. It wasn't just for me. It was for Harper for the day. She'd ask why her family fell apart. I wanted her to know I fought for her. even when it broke me. The following week, I hit a breaking point. Lauren came home late again, her perfume heavy, her excuses thinner. I couldn't pretend anymore. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady. Despite the storm inside. She froze, her eyes narrowing. "About what, Ethan?" she asked, like she was daring me to say it. "About Charlotte," I said. "About James. About the apartment you're renting under your maiden name." Her face went pale, but she didn't flinch. "You're spying on me," she shot back, her voice sharp. "That's low, even for you." "Don't," I said, stepping closer. "Don't turn this on me. I have proof." Lauren texts photos. "Elise, you're not just cheating. You're planning a whole life without me, without Harper." She opened her mouth, then closed it, her eyes darting to the floor. For the first time she looked small, caught, but then she straightened, her jaw tight. "You don't understand," she said. "James. He sees me. He gets me. You're always at the brewery, Ethan. You're married to your work, not me." Her words stung, but I didn't let them land. "So you lie," I said. "You sneak around, pay off Harper's teacher, build a secret life. That's your excuse." Her eyes widened at the mention of Sarah, but she didn't deny it. Instead, she turned and walked upstairs, slamming the bedroom door. I didn't follow. I sat on the couch, the house quiet, except for the hum of the fridge. I thought about the brewery, the late nights I'd spent building it. Was she right? Had I neglected her? But no, this wasn't on me. She'd made choices, calculated ones. I pulled out. My phone, opened the anonymous email, and watched the hotel video again. Her laugh, his hands, their ease. It wasn't love, it was escape, and I was the collateral damage. The next day, Lauren acted like nothing happened. She made coffee, kissed Harper's forehead, and left for work. But I was done playing her game. I met with Marcus again, who'd tracked down more bank statements, showing cash withdrawals. Lauren couldn't explain emails between her and James planning a fresh start in Charlotte, and a bombshell, Vanessa, James's sister, had been helping Lauren falsify work expenses to fund the apartment. It was a conspiracy, and I was the last to know. I also learned why Lauren was paying Sarah Ellis, Marcus's contact at the school. Dug up records. Lauren had asked Sarah to alter Harper's emergency contact forms, removing me and listing James instead. The envelope I'd seen was a bribe, cash to keep it quiet. My blood boiled. Lauren wasn't just leaving me. She was trying to erase me from Harper's life. I met with Tom, my lawyer, that afternoon. "She's building a case," he said, flipping through Marcus's folder. "The lawyer in Charlotte, the secret accounts, she's preparing to file for divorce, and take Harper. You need to act fast." He outlined a plan file. First, secure custody, protect the brewery. It felt like a war, and I hated it. But Harper was worth it. "What about the proof?" I asked. "Use it," Tom said. "But be smart. Don't let her spin this." That night I sat on the porch again, a storm rolling in over the mountains. The air was heavy, the first raindrops cold against my skin. I thought about Lauren's words. "You're married to your work." Maybe there was truth there, but it didn't justify this. I thought about Harper, her bumblebee costume, her trust in us. I thought about James, his smirk, his Audi, his sister, his world swallowing mine. And then my phone buzzed, a text from the anonymous sender. "Check her cloud drive. Folder labeled work, password Harper's05. I grabbed my laptop, my heart pounding. Lauren's cloud drive was linked to our shared account, but I'd never checked it. I logged in, found the folder, and entered the password. Inside were photos, not work projects, but Lauren and James. Vacations, dinners, moments she'd never shared with me. There were also documents, a draft divorce petition, notes on maximizing custody, and a letter to James unsent where she wrote, "I'm scared, but I'm ready. Ethan will fight, but I want this us." I sat back, the rain louder now, drumming on the porch roof. The letter was dated yesterday. She was scared, but she was choosing him. I saved everything, my hands steady for the first time in weeks. This was it, the truth, raw and undeniable. I wasn't just living a cheating story. I was at the center of a betrayal so deep it redefined everything. But then came the final twist of the week. I was at the brewery closing up when Vanessa, James's sister, walked in. I recognized her from Nate's security clip. Her blonde hair pulled back, her eyes sharp. "Ethan," she said, "no preamble. We need to talk." I froze my hand on the tap. "About what?" I asked, my voice cold. She glanced around, then leaned in. "About Lauren and James, and why I'm the one sending you those emails." I stared at her. The bar silent, except for the hum of the cooler. "You," I said, my mind racing. She nodded, her jaw tight. "I'm not here to save you, Ethan. I'm here to stop them. They're not just cheating. They're planning something worse." And Harper's caught in the middle. Lightning cracked outside, illuminating her face. I didn't trust her, not yet, but her words landed like a punch. Worse than cheating. What could that mean? I poured 2 beers, slid one to her, and sat down. "Talk," I said. And as the storm raged outside, Vanessa started to unravel a story that made my blood run cold. The storm outside the brewery was relentless. Rain hammering the windows as Vanessa sat across from me, her beer untouched. Her words hung in the air like smoke. They're planning something worse, and Harper's caught in the middle. My grip tightened on my glass, the cold seeping into my fingers. "What do you mean, worse?" I asked, my voice low. Barely masking the dread curling in my gut, Vanessa's eyes, sharp and guarded, met mine. "Lauren and James aren't just running off together," she said. "They're trying to take everything, your business, your daughter, your life, and they're playing dirty." I leaned back, the bar stool creaking under me. "Talk," I said again, my mind racing. Vanessa took a breath, glancing at the door like she expected someone to burst in. "James has been after your brewery for months," she started. "He's got clients, big players in Charlotte, who want to buy up small businesses like yours, flip them for profit. Lauren's been feeding him information, your financials, your contracts, your expansion plans. That's why she's been so busy at work. It's not just an affair, Ethan, it's a takeover." My chest tightened, the air in the bar suddenly too thin. The brewery wasn't just my job, it was my legacy, built from late nights and borrowed money. A place where Harper would run through the taproom giggling as I poured samples for locals. "How do you know this?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Vanessa's jaw clenched. "Because I overheard them. James thinks I'm on his side, but I'm not. He's my brother, but he's a snake. And Lauren, she's worse. She's the one pushing him. Ethan, she wants out, but she wants to leave you with nothing." I stared at her, the pieces falling into place. The late nights, the secret apartment, the bribe to Harper's teacher. It wasn't just about James. Lauren was dismantling our life, brick by brick, to build a new one on my ruins. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "What's in it for you?" Vanessa's eyes softened just for a second. "James screwed me over too," she said. "He tanked my career at the firm. Spread lies to get me sidelined. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because Harper doesn't deserve this, and neither do you." I didn't trust her, not fully, but her story lined up with everything I'd found. The anonymous emails, the video, the lease, they all pointed to a plan bigger than a cheating wife story. "What's their next move?" I asked. Vanessa leaned in, her voice dropping. "They're meeting tomorrow night at the Charlotte Hotel, the one from the video. James is bringing a contract, a buyout offer for the brewery disguised as a partnership. Lauren's supposed to convince you to sign it. If you don't, they've got leverage dirt on you. Ethan, lies, they're ready to spread." "Lies," I said, my pulse spiking. "What kind?" Vanessa hesitated, then pulled out her phone, showing me a draft email from James to one of his clients. It accused me of skimming profits, dodging taxes, even mistreating staff. None of it was true, but in the wrong hands it could ruin me. "They're building a case," she said. "If you fight the divorce, if you try to keep Harper, they'll leak this, make you look like the bad guy." I felt the room spin, the storm outside mirroring the chaos in my head. Lauren wasn't just betraying me. She was weaponizing our life, turning my own work against me. I thought about Harper, her bumblebee costume, her trust in her mom. How could Lauren do this? How could she look at our daughter and still play this game? "What do I do?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. Vanessa's eyes hardened. "You get ahead of them. You fight smart. And you don't let them see you break." I drove home through the rain, my wipers slapping against the windshield. Lauren was asleep when I got there, her phone charging on the nightstand, its screen dark. I didn't wake her. Instead, I went to Harper's room, sat by her bed, and watched her sleep. Her tiny chest rose and fell, her stuffed fox tucked under her arm. I'd built this life for her, for us. I wasn't going to let Lauren and James take it. The next morning I called Marcus, my PI, and filled him in. "I need you at that hotel tonight," I told him. "Record everything, audio, video, whatever you can get." He didn't hesitate on it. He said. Then I called Tom, my lawyer, and laid out Vanessa's warning. "They're coming for the brewery," I said. "And they're trying to smear me." Tom was calm, methodical. "We'll countersue," he said. "Defamation, fraud. Whatever sticks. But we need evidence. Marcus gets that tape, we've got them." I spent the day at the brewery going through financials, locking down contracts, making sure nothing could be twisted against me. My staff noticed something was off. Nate, especially, kept shooting me worried looks, but I brushed it off. "Just a rough week," I said, forcing a smile. Inside I was a wreck, but I wasn't going to let it show. Not yet. That night, I waited. Lauren left at 6 p.m., claiming another client dinner. I didn't argue. I kissed Harper goodnight, read her a story, and tucked her in. Then I sat on the porch, my phone burning a hole in my pocket, waiting for Marcus's call. At 9:47 p.m., it came. "Got it," he said. His voice clipped. "Sending now. Brace yourself." My heart pounded as I opened the file, a video crystal clear this time. Lauren and James in a hotel suite, papers spread on a table. Her voice came through sharp and confident. "Ethan will sign. He's too proud to admit he's failing. And if he doesn't, we leak the rumors. He'll crumble." James laughed, pouring wine. "You're ruthless," he said, his tone almost proud. "What about Harper?" Lauren's face tightened just for a second. "She'll be fine," she said. "She's young. She'll adjust. I just want her with me." "James, not him." I paused the video, my hands shaking. "Not him. Me, Harper's dad. The guy who braided her hair, who built her a treehouse, who loved her more than anything." Lauren wasn't just stealing my business. She was stealing my daughter. The rest of the video was worse. They discussed the buyout, the lies about me, even a plan to move Harper to Charlotte before Ethan can react. James mentioned a judge he knew, someone who could fast-track custody if Lauren played the victim. It was calculated cold, like a chess game where I was the pawn. I saved the video, forwarded it to Tom, and sat in the dark, the rain finally slowing outside. I wasn't just angry anymore, I was done. The next day I moved fast. Tom filed an emergency motion for temporary custody of Harper, citing Lauren's unstable behavior and the evidence of her affair and financial misconduct. Marcus's video was the cornerstone, backed by the lease. The bank statements and Vanessa's testimony. She'd agreed to go on record, her own grudge against James outweighing her loyalty. I also met with my accountant, securing the brewery's assets, transferring key accounts to my name only. It felt like locking the doors before a hurricane. Lauren didn't suspect a thing. She came home that night. Her smile practiced her lies smoother than ever. "Good day at work?" I asked, stirring chili on the stove. She nodded, oblivious. "Yeah, exhausting, but good." I didn't push. I was waiting for the right moment, and it came sooner than I expected. The following morning, Lauren was served with the custody motion at her studio. Tom had timed it perfectly. She was with a client, her professional mask on, when the process server handed her the papers. I wasn't there, but Marcus was discreetly recording from across the street. Lauren's face went from shock to fury, her hands shaking as she read the documents. She called me immediately, her voice a mix of panic and rage. "Ethan, what the hell is this? You're trying to take Harper." I stayed calm, my voice steady. "I'm protecting her, Lauren. You're the one making plans to rip her away. I know about James, the apartment, the brewery. I know everything." There was a long silence, then a sob, fake, I could tell. "You're wrong," she said. "You're paranoid. I love you, Ethan. I love Harper. Let's talk, please." I hung up. I'd heard enough lies. The next twist came from Vanessa. She texted me that afternoon. "James knows about the custody filing. He's pissed. Watch your back." I didn't know what that meant, but I wasn't taking chances. I installed security cameras at the brewery, and the house told Nate to keep an eye out, and asked Harper's school to restrict pickups to me only. That night I got a call from an unknown number, a man's voice smooth and smug. "James, you're making a mistake, beer guy," he said. "Back off, or this gets ugly." I didn't respond, I just recorded the call and sent it to Tom. The days that followed were a blur of legal moves and quiet moments with Harper. She sensed something was wrong, asking why Mommy was sad all the time. I didn't have answers, not yet. I just hugged her, took her to the park and tried to keep her world steady. But Lauren wasn't giving up. She showed up at the house one night, unannounced. Her eyes red, her voice desperate. "Ethan, please," she said, standing in the doorway. "I messed up. I'll end it with James. I'll do anything. Don't take Harper from me." I looked at her, the woman I'd loved for half my life, and felt nothing. "You already took yourself from us," I said. "You chose him, Lauren. You chose lies. Harper deserves better." She cried real tears this time, but I closed the door. It wasn't about revenge. It was about survival. The final court hearing was a week later. Tom was a bulldog presenting Marcus's video, Vanessa's testimony, and the financial records. Lauren's lawyer tried to spin it, claiming she was overwhelmed, that I was controlling, but the judge wasn't buying it. He granted me temporary custody, with Lauren getting supervised visits. The brewery was safe, at least for now. Tom had filed a separate suit against James for attempted fraud. It wasn't over. Not by a long shot, but it was a start. I thought that would be the end, but life had one more twist. 2 days after the hearing, I got a letter, no return address, just my name in neat handwriting. Inside was a single page written by Lauren. No signature, but I knew her cursive. "I'm sorry," it began. "Not for loving James, I can't help that, but for hurting you, for hurting Harper. I thought I could escape, be someone new. I was wrong. I'm leaving Asheville. Ethan, you win. Take care of her." That was it. No forwarding address, no plea for forgiveness, just goodbye. I sat on the porch, the letter in my hand, the mountains dark against the sunset. Lauren was gone. Marcus confirmed she'd left the Charlotte apartment, her studio cleared out. James was still in Charlotte, facing his own legal mess, thanks to Vanessa's whistleblowing. I should have felt triumphant, but I didn't. I felt empty, like a house after a fire, still standing but hollowed out. Harper was the only thing that kept me grounded. We spent the next weekend at the brewery, her laughter echoing as she helped me clean the taps. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since college, sketching the mountains. Harper's smile, the life I still had. I even got a tattoo. A small fox, like her favorite stuffed animal, on my forearm. A reminder of what mattered. But the questions lingered. Had Lauren ever loved me? Or was I just a stepping stone? Could I trust again after this? And what about Harper? How would I explain this when she was older? I didn't have answers. Only time I thought about the cheating stories I'd read, the ones that ended in revenge or reconciliation. Mine wasn't either. It was just life. Messy, painful. But mine to rebuild. I raised a beer to the sky, the stars brighter now, and whispered, "To starting over." Maybe that was enough. If this story broke your heart or made you think, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that cut deep. Should Ethan forgive Lauren someday? Or is moving on the only way? Tell me below.